All right, welcome to my video session. I am pulling up the directions so I know what I need to talk about. But me and my team, we are recreating the Zillow website product page just for one house. So when you come to that house, it has a number of different components that we could have built out. But since it's only three of us and we wanted to just do some of the work on the website, not everything that's on the website, we chose these three things. So I'm doing the mortgage calculator. Andrew is doing the surrounding homes, and Mike is doing like the image carousel for like the house itself. So you'll see all the different rooms in the house and how it looks and so on and so forth. On my component, the things that I had to basically make functional is make a form that has a number of input fields that represent the home's value. And when you enter in the home's value, that's going to affect a number of different other input fields. And when I was going through this process, I realized that there are three things that are basically driving the input fields themselves. And I'm just going to pull up my code just because I have it in my comments. And that was pretty fun. I felt like that came to me pretty easily, just to figure out how the calculator was working and what was driving the other input fields. So right now I wonder if I can like show my screen. I don't know how to do that. I apologize. I'm just going to tell you. So in my code, the home price affects the down payment amount. It also affects the property tax. And for some reason, it also affected the interest rate in the Zillow website. So I created a function for that so that it would update the state for the other input fields in the form. And and then there was like even smaller things that affected other things. So like if you change the down payment percentage amount, then that's also change the down payment. So that was one other thing. If you change the property tax, then the property tax percentage, then that should change the property tax itself. And if you change a program, whether, like say you're buying a house and you want to get a mortgage rate for 30 years or for 15 years or some other kind of thing, that should also change like your interest rate as well. So I went through the form, found those things out, created functions for those, and that was one of the easier things to do, but it was really fun. So what else can I talk about to you? Let's see here. Sorry. All right, so there are many challenges that I ran into. So I created an engineering journal that is in my OneNote, and really I'm doing you guys a disservice by not sharing the screen with you right now. But for future video things, I will consider that and try to figure out how to make that work. But I have this OneNote for my engineering journal, and I wrote down every time that I got stuck. So in the process, I'll start at the very beginning. It was, how do I see the SQLite database with fake data? So I wrote out a number of the things that I ran into and how I solved the problem, what were the underlying concepts. One of the things that were really interesting as a problem was looking through my notes to find like the really cool stuff. I think that just in general, uh, Webpack was a pain in the butt, but just being patient and Googling all the errors and reading the comments for GitHub whenever someone had a error, the same error that I had, and then fixing it was really helpful. So that was really a turning point for me. Just like, I can I can't get through being stuck if I really take the time to go through the error, read the error, and then Google the error appropriately so I can find the data or information that I need to, then go back and make changes and just be really careful. But I really have to be, like, my energy level has to be really high. Like, I can't do that late at night. I would have to do that like midday or first thing in the morning because it's too time consuming and energy because intensive. Like, it's just too much. So Webpack was a pain in the butt. That was a huge challenge because that's what I needed to have happen in order to see my React components that's using JSX. And I needed everything to be bundled up so that I believe like the services all work together with the proxy. So I did that a few times, and I thought what was really helpful is instead of like picking up where I left off on Solo Week, I would start from scratch, and I would just recreate my component, recreate my service from start to finish, and write down where I got stuck each time, like the things that weren't sticking in my brain, and and like write really detailed steps on how to get through those sticky parts. After I did all that, the proxy server was pretty quick. So that didn't take any time. I got that done over Solo Week, and then when we got back from the break, one of the first things that I was supposed to do was to get my proxy server to serve up individual, like 100 different home values in my mortgage calculator. So if I type in the URL localhost 3008/1, it should give me that home's price so that it would calculate that mortgage rate for that. And the same thing for localhost 3008/2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 100. So that took about 5 hours to do. It was pretty challenging just to think about, like, how do I get this to work? I had misconceptions at the very beginning of it. I didn't really understand what the problem was, but my teammates were they're pretty strong in terms of like understanding like the static files, and that's also something that I didn't do well on the TA. And but because they had a good understanding of that, it helped to get me over the hump because it's not a difficult thing to understand conceptually, but if you don't consider static files, then your component will never be rendered on the screen. So we just had to do respond.send file to serve up our static files for our index.html file, which calls in the bundle and also calls in the CSS, and that's how we would get the information that we needed. Also needed to change some things in my client so that it would update the component with the right information. I think a lot of this is not going to make sense, and I should do a better job of like explaining it, but it's good to, I guess, like reflect on it and do it in this video so I can remember what was the problem. The next issue that I ran into was getting the donut graph inside the mortgage calculator, or just doing a donut graph just in general. So I had to explore a lot of different options. That took a long time. It took almost like a day, basically. It did take a day. And in order to just figure out what different types of options I could do, I stumbled across D3 from talking to Jared. Because when we looked at when we inspected the actual website, they're using D3 to render their donut on the website. So then I got more confidence in going that route because I thought it would be worth my time and I wouldn't be wasting my time basically. So today I got that done pretty early. Um, it's just a static version, and the next hurdle that I have to get into is getting my donut inside the React component because I have to break up the script tag into individual functions for everything and then return the SVG tag in order to get the actual donut to pull data from the React component. So that's pretty confusing for me, and it's going to take the rest of the day today in order to learn. Um, but right now, everything is integrated. My service is deployed on AWS. It doesn't look pretty, but I'm happy with the results. 11 minutes.